quit my job so I can edit this podcast with 13
Hey,
followers.
I've li- I've listened to some podcasts, over the years. I'm not going to name names where they had regular day jobs, and now it's just what they do. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, what is it? I can't even think of the name right now. Fresh. What is it?
HelloFresh.
Hello Fresh. Yeah, they're paying their bills. We're not going to get that sponsor. Not if I can't remember the goddamn name.
Shit, I used HelloFresh for a while.
Oh, we do too. Not consistently, but it's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoy HelloFresh. Matter of fact, I pulled out one of the, because I keep all the recipe cards.
Everybody does, yes.
Yeah, that way you don't have to use them anymore. You can just be like, what do I need to make this?
Yep.
Oh.
We still use some of the recipes. Like for the longest time, Anna Lil, she's a vegetarian, so we would get vegetarian ones.
Yeah.
And if there was fake meat involved, but I would just buy real meat. But there were some pretty good recipes, like black bean patties with sweet potatoes. Man, that's some good shit.
I know a couple of the stew recipes they sent, stew or soup recipes or chili recipes they sent were good. I think
We
there
did
was
not get.
I think there's a turkey chili that I had one time.
That seems like that would take a while to cook, though. Maybe I'm just wrong.
34 minutes, like everything else from HelloFresh.
No. Have you seen the ones now they got that is just microwavable? I forget which
Yeah,
company.
Factor.
Yeah, there's probably a few of them because but they're supposed to be really good and kind of healthy, as healthy as it is to microwave something. I
Yeah.
guess. Have you done that yet?
Nope.
Can you do it and get back to me?
Maybe.
That shit's not available in Sweden. I don't know why I care, but I care about you eating well. I love you, Bo. Can that make you feel uncomfortable?
Now this podcast is getting weird.
Man, you're like one of my dearest friends. I love you, man. Despite your shitty tasting t-shirts. I don't know why I love Duncan on Terrifier 2. I don't hate the movie. I don't know why you like it so much, I guess.
Because you know I like it, and you can't stand it.
No, I can't see it. I can't see it, and it bugs me. Yeah.
We were actually talking when me and Daniel and Chris recorded Sunday. We were actually talking about the fact that Daniel's the toughest critic out of all of us. And I told him, I was like, because Daniel's, you have to give a 5-star review, and each of us have a couple out there. And yeah, I was like, I never expected Daniel to be the toughest critic. I always expected that to be Josh. That's what I was telling him. It's like Josh shit on the Black Phone. He hated it, and like Josh is usually a pretty tough critic, but like he's got some 5-star movies. Daniel, like you have none. Like we thought we were gonna have one with Big Trouble in Little China, and then you went against us.
I can't even remember I can't remember a lot of our podcasts. I can't remember a 4.5 star.
No, that's what I think he said. He either gave Halloween 4 or 4.5. He did say, because Chris asked him. Somebody was in Twitch chat asked, like, what's a 5-star movie for you then? And
Phantom Menace.
yeah,
Next.
he gave a spoiler, so when we do the episode, we'll already know his rating. But he said the thing.
Yeah, I mean,
So I told him we'd never do the thing until we get to another 5-star review. We'll never cover the thing now because of Daniel.
I mean, But it would be nice if he'd said a movie that was a little left of center, because everybody rates The Thing 5 stars, you know?
Well, Daniel's a tough critic, man. He only loves movies that are universally loved.
Yeah, I've noticed Daniel not giving 5-star reviews, but I don't ever remember him dunking on movies either, though. I guess that's the difference between me and him. I'll love a movie, and I'll fucking tomahawk jam on that motherfucker too, though. You know?
Yeah. Yep, no, that's why I said I was surprised that he didn't have any and you did. Because I expect that kind of rating from you.
What, dunking on a movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, certain movies deserve it. But look, I mean, just in that little project we're doing, I mean, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you know. That being said, I don't know if any other movie is going to get 5 stars, though, when I look at the totality of it.
Yeah.
But those are genre defining. Like if you wrote a book and you're talking about the American important movies of the American in American history, I mean those two would make the list. I mean, it's undeniable. I will say the next movie we cover will be close to 5, but I can't give it 5. I should. I can't.
Oh, I don't know. Never mind, I know what you're talking about now.
Go easy, player. Easy. Easy.
Nice, refreshing water.
Yeah, water and a Jesus. Just a podcast by babies for babies.
Man, I was drunk the other night. I drank a bottle of Jim Beam apple, then a half a bottle of wine, and then some Suntory whiskey.
What's Centaurium? Is that Japanese?
Yeah.
Wait, did you say you drank a bottle of apple, Jim Beam? You split it with some other compadre, right? What are you doing? Gaming? Watching movies?
Yeah, I was hanging out with my brothers.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Let's talk
What
about
kind
the
of
new
wine?
what? Oh, shit! I was about to start the podcast.
I know. I want to hear about this wine.
As soon as I go to talk,
I know.
Hold on, real quick. Let's do the introductions in. Welcome to Very Unreasonable Things. Today we're going to be talking about our favorite wines and maybe a movie.
Yes.
But anyways, as usual, I'm Billy Bone, and I'm joined by Josh Lindsay, who is stoically staring off into the distance.
No, sorry.
Striking
I'm sorry.
up pose on YouTube.
No, I'm sorry. I was thinking of Boston. I'm sorry.
I got that wrote down too. Thinking of Boston.
There's only like one other person maybe who would get that reference. Nobody's seen this movie.
The wine I was drinking was called 19 Crimes.
Oh, yeah, they got that here.
Yeah, so there's different ones. I'd bought like 3 different bottles at one point, but I can't remember which one it was I just finished. It's not bad. It's not
It's red, right?
It's not Sweetwater Red. They got
No.
like I said, not Sweetwater Red, but I have yet to find that anywhere here.
What the fuck is Sweetwater Red? I don't know that.
Yeah, you do.
Do I?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's that bottle of red wine, Sweetwater. Walter. I think this was called right. It was.
You come on, help me
Dude,
out a little bit more than
I'm
just
a-
keep saying the name.
I'm
The name's not
I'm
gonna.
about to Google it.
What's Google?
Damn it! When you said that, I wasn't. I typed in "sweet Google."
It's such a better name than Google. Sweet Google.
Yeah, Sweetwater red wine. God damn it, I knew it. I'll show you a picture of it. When you see this picture, you'll remember ourselves. I don't know. Let's see if you can see this in the.
I can't, brother man.
Yeah, it's too much really.
It looks. It looks like drawings. Where did we drink this at?
In Mississippi. All right, I sent you a picture of it.
Okay. Where did we? I mean, okay. Obviously, the only place that me and you've ever been is Mississippi.
We've been to New Orleans together.
We have, but oh, yeah.
You remember
We drank
now.
this while we were living together, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I mean, I think we absolutely murdered this bottle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I was surprised that you forgot about it.
Well, we murdered a bottle of wine, and I'm assuming kept drinking probably whatever else. But yeah, yeah, it's pretty good. I'm
Yep.
surprised you remembered. Did you keep the bottle?
No, what am I keeping the bottle for?
I don't know. Certain people do it. I wasn't going to pass judgment or anything. I was just curious.
Yeah, I got some empty whiskey bottles I need to get rid of. So,
Yep.
about Boston.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it.
Let's talk about the New York Ripper, our first movie in our little Giallo block. New York Ripper, directed by Lucio Fulci, came out in Italy, March 4th, 1982. A runtime of 93 minutes, and made a box office of 1.04 million.
And that's got to be, I mean, look, this was a video nasty in the UK. I don't think, I mean, this shit got banned. You know, the video nasties is, you know, you can look up the list of movies. They were, if you were anyway like titillating, they fucking, you wasn't coming into those borders. But I've read, like, yeah, this is a movie that's obviously shot in 81, released in 82. Somewhere I found that this wasn't released until 1987, but that can't be right.
Said it was released in the United States in 1984.
84, but yeah, I got 87. Maybe they tried to pass the censor board in the UK with it, and even in 87, I don't think this would have flown. But yeah, for some reason I have it. But Fulci, the godfather of gore, the spaghetti splatter king, as he is known. I think both me and you have only seen one Fulci movie, right? You might have seen,
counting this one.
yeah.
No, I've seen a zombie.
No, counting it zombie. But is that it?
Yeah, I think so.
He did House by the Cemetery.
Yeah, it started. I think
well.
so, but I started, but I didn't finish it.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Fucking-
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say fucking Fulci, man.
Yeah, it's It's pretty graphic in some scenes.
I don't know if you should, if this should be your first Fulci, or maybe it should be your first Fulci just to get an idea. You know what I'm saying? This might turn you off from watching any more Fulci, or because this is zombies less graphic than this. And
Yeah.
because I was able to watch Zombie without covering. No, I did. I covered my eyes.
I was gonna say
In
there's
Zombie. Yeah, I did.
there's a scene in there. If, was it the wood scene?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
figured.
Couldn't look at it. Yep. And this scene again, I finished. I watched it a second time today. Nope. Fucking hard no for me.
Oh man. Yeah, I didn't cover my eyes, but I do find myself kind of being like, ugh.
I can't do it. Eye trauma. I mean, and I guess Fulci's known for that, but it just makes my asshole pucker up. You know.
Yeah. What's your history with the movie?
You know, this zero history. Apparently, this was on In Search of Darkness Part 3. And I tried to find it where they talk about it. It wasn't in the 1982 section. But it also, and I skipped around, but it also didn't make any sense because if it wasn't in 1982, then it had to be where they talked about Giallo. But you can't not talk about Giallo until part 3. They had to, so I couldn't find it. I don't, Giallo needs to be in part 1. Let's be honest,
Yeah.
if you're going to talk about subgenres of the horror scene. But I couldn't find it. But and I've watched all the In Search of Darknesses, but zero history until you brought this up and you said, hey, watch it. And even when you told me, I didn't even know it was Fulci.
Yeah.
And I will say this, and this isn't like, putting the cart ahead of the horse. I will say, and maybe the same is for you, this movie plays differently the second time you watch it. When I watched it the first time, I appreciated it more the second time I watched it. I'll just say that.
Okay.
But it still does, and I'm not a expert. I don't know shit about shit when it comes to giallos. Me and you are learning together, hand in hand. Kiss on the cheek. We're going in this together. I love you. I love you.
God damn it.
Just,
Get to the
okay.
point.
But it is the dubbing that, and here's the thing. You're dubbing English-speaking actors who were speaking English.
That's the same issue that Chris had when, I can't remember, we were watching a Giallo movie. It wasn't this one, though. It might have been when we were watching Suspiria. But he's like... He's like, these actors are speaking English. Why the fuck are they dubbing them?
And Suspiria is way less noticeable than this. To me, I haven't seen Suspiria in about 4 or 5 months. But this was like the lead detective, Jack Headley. He's a British actor. He's like a professional British actor. I'm sure he could do an American. I don't know why they do it. When the Italians speak, I get it. I wish that wasn't the case. I would prefer if they just spoke in Italian and fucking give me subtitles.
Yeah.
It does not matter. It wouldn't even take me out of the movie. It's like, oh, these two people are speaking Italian in New York City. That's fine. You're not basing it in West Virginia. That'd be a little weird to Italian. But who gives a shit? it takes me more out of the movie when that's happening. Even more so when it's English speaking actors. You know?
Yeah, no one on the one, I thought it was In Search of Darkness 3 where they talked about Giallo as a genre. I can't remember her name, but you remember the African American lady from Demons, who the first one to put on the mask.
Oh, yeah.
She talks about dubbing, and she talks about like, dubbing herself, and just how it's an art form. Like you have to practice to be good at dubbing. But I bet that's weird dubbing yourself.
What's the fucking point? Maybe it is an art form. It's a hat on a hat. It's like, what? I mean, I don't even know if I use that expression correctly, but still,
I've never heard that before.
a hat on a hat.
Yeah.
It means it's fucking. I guess it means it's pointless. I should use sweet Google, but I'm not. But I think that's what it means. But it's just, I don't know. But goddamn, I'm glad we're doing Giallo. Cause thank fuck that Giallo exists, though. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just a certain time in horror history where, Italians said, hey, we could do Westerns, and they did them. And they're fucking classics. And they're like, well, we can do fucking horror. And it's... Watching this movie made me think of what Friday the 13th, 1980 could have been.
Yeah, so I guess before you get into that real quick, let's just give... Because we're talking about Giallo, and we haven't really explained what it is other than it's Italian horror. So I used Wikipedia, not sweet Google.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't know, here's what it says. Giallo, or the Italian cinema giallo, is a genre of murder mystery fiction that often contains slasher, thriller, psychological horror, sexploitation, and less frequently supernatural horror elements. So you go, murder mystery thriller is pretty accurate when you watch these movies because it's like a whodunit.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a lot
and this
of POV shots.
Yeah, and this one, what's that word you use?
Sexploitation.
Sex. This movie likes sex a lot. Like, I am who I am, like Popeye. But even if my girlfriend would have walked in on me watching some of these scenes, I would have been embarrassed like my mom walked in. I'm like, what are you watching? Nothing? Why's your dick out? I don't know. Because this woman's tied up and she's scared.
Didn't you say you wrote a synopsis for this?
I did. It's not good, though.
I'll be the judge of that.
No, I don't want you to be the judge of it. That's the problem. It fucking sucks.
You haven't had any that I disliked. They've all been good.
Until now. And I didn't, it took, I put minimal effort with this synopsis like I do with my life, but okay.
You're good. I paused it. So we're still
live. Let me go pee.
Yeah, we're still live on Twitch. I'll get some water anyways.
Yeah, and I'll do the synopsis.
I'm going to put it on the break screen. Bam. All right. While we wait on Josh, we'll just sit here. I'll go ahead and read you some more of the Wikipedia on Giallo. This particular style of Italian-produced murder, mystery, horror, thriller film usually blends the atmosphere and suspense of a thriller fiction with elements of horror fiction, such as slasher violence, eroticism, similar to the French fantastique genre, and often involves a mysterious killer whose identity is not revealed until the final act of the film. The genre developed in the mid to late 60s, peaked in popularity during the 70s, and subsequently declined in commercial mainstream filmmaking over the next few decades. Though examples continue to be produced, it was a predecessor to and had significant influence on the later American slasher genre. So time did I just write a little extra info. Josh comes back in, sitting down.
Didn't pause.
I paused.
We got. Oh, I didn't mute my mic.
You're fine. I was just talking to the Twitch crowd. I was reading some more about the Giallo. All right, you're back. So I'm about to restart it. And you're about to give us that synopsis.
This. Okay.
Oh,
I'm gonna stop being a little.
Just do it. It's going to be great.
Take off my peepers. Okay. The New York Ripper. And, yeah. New York Ripper. When New York City is plagued by a prank caller that targets beautiful women,
Go ahead. You're good.
unlike those limp dicks Gacy and Dahmer, there's only one man who can stop the terror that's infested the city. The ever-sleepy Lieutenant Fred Williams, the extra burnt-out detective who enjoys the small things in life, chain smoking, not doing his job, sleeping with prostitutes, and of course, not doing his fucking job. And when Williams runs out of ideas before he can even form one, he seeks the help of the loneliest man, Dr. Michael Fassbender, to catch the killer, who, as you can imagine, does all the goddamn work. But this isn't your dad's jerky boy prank caller. This total piece of shit has zero imagination or humor to his tomfoolery pranks. And the Italian Roy D. Mercer. Daniel will appreciate that reference. I know he will if he listens. But his biggest crime to humanity isn't the rotary phone hijinks. No, this cuck without a fuck tries his hand at voices. Mel Blanc would be so proud. Because other than failing miserably at a Donald Duck impression and failing with confidence, mind you, this guy's perfectly normal and leads a very mundane life with zero Twilight hobbies to speak of. Also, there's an 8-fingered stalker pervert who is actually not the killer. Just an 8-fingered pervert stalker, normal guy, normal movie. That's it, man. Look, the movie is what it is.
It's a movie.
Because we're eventually going to get to the end. And I didn't even think to put that whole part in this synopsis. Because that's fucking bananas. The movie ends with something that is so goddamn out of left field that you're actually confused about what you just saw. And they don't introduce it till the last 8 minutes. Regardless. We can take it back to the top, though.
Take it back to the top.
I mean, the music.
Well, the fucking music. So I got that in my notes. So, okay, well, let's start it off finally. The movie starts off and a man's walking his dog and he's playing fetch. He's like, oh, you want some exercise? Oh, yeah, let's throw this fucking stick a little bit. And he's like, go get it, yeah. And then, being the good fucking pet owner he is, on his next throw, he throws it into the fucking bushes. And he's like, yeah, go find it.
Yeah, this guy. Yeah, I didn't even think about how big of an asshole he is. Because he's in like a dirt lot.
Yeah.
He finds the only 3 bushes
Plenty
and
of
throws a
space.
fucking stick.
Exactly. Plenty of space to play fetch. You know, where your dog doesn't have to, go diving into poison ivy or whatever. And you're like, nah, fuck it. Into the bushes you go.
And obviously, the dog comes back with
Severed hand.
a severed hand that, I mean, it was gross. It was a gross severed hand, like you expect it to be kind of cheap looking. And they know it looks good because that's where they do the freeze frame and the credits roll. Like, this shit looks good. It looks good enough to where we can stop the movie. In the opening credits.
You can tell that this movie's like late 70s, early 80s by the fucking music that come on.
Oh, I wrote in my notes like this opening music is a choice. It's like Hill Street Blues or something. It's like an 80s TV show.
Yeah.
And like I said, they keep it frozen on the hand. And here's the thing with the music. Because the music isn't Hill Street Blues throughout the entire time. Like, it changes from a horror score to when the woman's tied up and they have the radio on.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't even know how you describe that music. It's music that nobody listens to ever. But that shit reminded me of The Warriors. That scene.
The Warriors. That was a good movie. So they found a decomposed human hand belonged to a local model, and it doesn't seem important at the time, but kind of on a second viewing, it makes more sense. All the people that are getting killed are attractive people,
Yes.
like
Attractive women, to be
yeah,
specific.
attractive women. And until you find out like the killer's motive and why he's doing it, you may not catch on to it. But there's a reason why attractive people are getting killed, which we'll get to. But they go to interview the landlady, and this landlady's so fucking nosy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And proud of it.
Yeah,
She don't give a shit. Yeah. She's like one of these, I wouldn't call her like a socialite because she's not, but she is like one of these old, I guess, uptown old ladies who just spends 4 of her waking hours like doing her hair, putting on lipstick. You can just tell that that's who she is,
yeah,
And we get introduced to, I called him the ever sleepy Detective Williams.
yeah.
Look, he was going for a burnout detective look, so he fucking nailed it. But he looks so bored throughout this movie. Not as an actor. I'm talking about as a detective. Just... And she goes to him because she heard the murderer, or what she thought was the murderer, with the phone call with this model being found. And this detective, did I say Williams? Because
Yeah,
he never
Williams.
really... Williams, yeah. He wants this lady gone immediately from the station. She starts talking about like, yeah, I was watching Dallas at 7:00.
The show with
You
the
know,
family that has all the money.
Yeah, and he's just, you could tell he had a hard night last night because he's like taking pills and just being like, get to the point. But this is, the interiors were filmed in Italy. The exteriors actually filmed in New York, when you could actually film in New York and it not,
Yeah.
now this shit would be filmed in Toronto. But this police station is the cheapest I've seen in a movie. I mean, zero effort really into making it look like a police station. Luckily, we're not there a lot,
Yeah.
a few times, but it's pretty bad.
I didn't get the budget when I didn't see how much it cost to make, so I don't know. We go to another girl who's riding on a bike. We follow her down the street a little bit.
More great music
Yeah,
and more shots of real New York City at a time when New York City wasn't doing so good. Like, you know,
this
like
movie
the reputation was,
this movie saved New York. It brought him back.
oh, the New York Ripper saved. Like the actual, he would have saved New York.
But yeah, no, you're right. You actually get shots of New York, and I was thinking about that when I was watching it because it's like, this movie couldn't have had a bigger budget than Friday the 13th Part 8. Yeah, you got very little of Jason in Manhattan.
There's a big difference though in like 1981 and 1989 though. I think just in terms of what it probably cost to with
Yeah. But anyways, we got the girl on the bike. She's riding. And she goes to the ferry, or she's on her way to
Staten
the ferry,
Island. Yeah.
and she hits a. It was a. Oh God, I should have wrote down a car. It was a.
It's a
Beetle.
bug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit a red Volkswagen Beetle, and the guy got mad, and she was like, "What you'd said, like, oh, I was I'm sorry for running into your car." And he's like, "What were you thinking?" She's like, "I was thinking of Boston."
Like if they're look, the first time I watched this movie, I felt like the script was, especially the dialogue was a little lacking. The second time I watched it, I appreciated it a lot more. But we'll get to another scene. But if you want two lines in a movie that you could tell were written by Italians, and this movie was, it had like 1, 2, 3, 4 screenwriters. If there is, like I said, the later line, but this line is like, oh yeah, this is Italians writing it. I was thinking of Boston. What the fuck does that mean? I mean, I know you have wet dreams about Texas, but you wouldn't be like bumping into somebody and be like, I was thinking about Texas, especially since you live there now. That'd be fucking weird. Sorry, I do tell people that sometimes here in Sweden.
That you're thinking of Boston.
Yeah. I'm like, I like Boston. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you, guy? Why aren't you looking where you're going? I was thinking of Mississippi. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I got Mississippi on the brain.
So, in retaliation for this guy being justifiably mad that she just ran into his fucking car.
Yeah, but he's a little harsh to her, too. Like, you could tell this is a...
He's probably got fucking people bumping into him all the time. He's probably tired of it. But she goes to vandalize his car, and she's in the process of writing shit. I'm assuming she was going to write shithead
I'm assuming, yeah.
on the inside of his car with lipstick.
Yeah.
And then the Ripper gets her.
And he gets her pretty good.
Yeah.
I,
It's a public ferry, though. I'm like, he pulled this off with nobody seeing him, even though there was people all around, technically.
yeah, I mean, and even after her body was discovered, like, the movie doesn't show you, it tells you. Like, nobody notices the dead body until they start leaving the ferry. Which there's nobody in their cars in a ferry. You get out. So people had to come in, get in their cars, and because nobody was moving in this bug, the guy behind them just starts pushing.
Yeah.
It's like, and then you're like, where the fuck's the driver? Obviously, he didn't tell anybody about the dead body. He just goes and cries later. But I've got my notes. If you wouldn't clear this was Fulci, you know it within 10 minutes. Because it is... it's crazy. Like, And this is, would you say this is the tamest kill? No. No. It's not the tamest.
No, because somebody else just gets stabbed later on.
Yeah, it's the chick who gets not kidnapped, but has to escape. Hers is kind of easy.
Yeah.
But this one, man, it's a stab and then it's going up.
Yeah.
You know, it's, yeah, pretty rough.
So the Williams is was he talking? Yeah, he was talking to the press, right? He was talking about there being a potential serial killer, and his boss
No.
got mad.
Yeah, yeah.
it's
We don't
like-
see him talk to the press, but the chief comes in and says, "What are you telling the press?" The chief of police was played by Fulci himself.
Yeah, I see that now.
No.
But yeah, he tells him not to make any more public announcements because he doesn't want to start a citywide panic.
Or create another Atlanta. I will say that was pretty clever of the screenwriters. Did you ever watch Mindhunter?
No.
You should. It's fantastic. But the third season deals with the serial killer that was in Atlanta in the late 70s.
Gotcha. I'll have to look up on that because I didn't know what you were talking about when you said Atlanta. At this point, they bring on an advisor for the case. And we're introduced to this character while he's playing fucking electronic chess.
By himself, just
Yeah.
the loneliest man. He's
He's doing better in his game than Kurt Russell did in his game.
I mean, that's true. But in all fairness, the one Kurt Russell was playing was a cheating bitch. In all fairness.
Yeah. So the
But
guy,
he
yeah.
brings in a psychologist. Or who looks, did you notice he looked like Michael Fassbender?
Dude, there's I'll have to pay attention. I got another person wrote down who I thought looked like somebody. Well, I guess I can say it. I mean, it's not like we're a mystery podcast and we're not trying to.
No, now you're being weird.
Yeah. But no, the fucking killer I thought looked like Topher Grace.
He looked like the victim from part 2 of Friday the 13th.
And I like
The
mine
dude who
better.
gets hung upside down.
I like mine better.
I like mine better. Oh, I like mine. Yours kind of sucks.
No, my guy he looked like Topher Grace.
No, this guy was supposed to be handsome. What are you talking about?
Well, you didn't think
All right, put up a Twitter poll.
Twitter poll. This will be the only time you get on Twitter. You'll go and vote on it. Make multiple accounts. State inspector's a dumbass.
Wait, is it even? I mean, it's. Do people still say Twitter though?
I still say Twitter. I know some people do. I refuse to fucking call it X.
I mean, that's. I mean, I kind of get it. The shit he has SpaceX, but. I mean, he bought out Tesla too. He didn't create Tesla, I don't think. Are you gonna call that X Mobile?
I have no idea.
I don't know. Anyway, enough about that guy.
Yeah, we got to talk about the fucking the guy with the missing fingers. God, fuck his name, Mickey.
Not Mick. He's Greek.
Yeah, he's Greek, but I thought they called him Mickey at one point.
It's something. It's not Mickey. It's
Yeah, it was Mickey Scalinda or Mickus,
Mickis. That's it.
but they did say Mickey at one point. I knew it wasn't.
Get it right, you xenophobic
They
piece of
said
shit.
fucking Mickey. So he goes into this fucking sex show, and we see there's a woman in there recording the audio of the sex show. Who then starts,
Getting off on it.
starts playing with herself while they're doing it on the fucking stage. And this scene just kind of seems to drag on.
Oh my God. The first time it was long, the second time it was longer. It's like we get it. Because it's Fulci. He likes close-ups.
Yeah.
I like close-ups. But when you get a close-up of a woman who's moaning, not while being satisfied, but watching other people get satisfied, and then it's overdubbed, like it's not even her doing the moaning, and then you just get a close-up of these like 1982 teeth, if you know what I mean, with 1982 teeth. It's like, and it, with the moaning overdubbed, it comes across as fake moaning, and we sit there as an audience for like what feels like 10 minutes is probably like 4 minutes, like just that scene, which is way too fucking long because these people look like they're really fucking.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe they were. Some movies they do legitimately do it. It wouldn't surprise me.
What movies are you talking about, Bone? What movies are you watching?
Did you ever see like a movie called The Brown Bunny?
You're talking about like some vivid
No, this was
movie.
God, I can't remember the fucking guy's name, but it had oh my god, fuck, I can't remember her name now. I think it was one of the girls from the movie Kids.
The Brown Bunny. Oh, Chloe Sevigny.
Yeah, like there's a scene in there where she performs fellatio, and like it's legit. You see it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's bold.
There's some other movies that do that too, so they actually have like real sex in their films. So that's why I said.
The fuck did you hear about the Brown Bunny yet? Oh, I love it. I love it. The Brown Bunny. I'm assuming it's these two characters, right? Chloe Sevigny and Vincent Gallo.
Yeah.
And obviously Vincent Gallo is probably the guy who gets fellatio performed on him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. He's a writer and director.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like me writing a movie like, oh, yeah, Scarlett Johansson falls in love with me and just constantly wants to have sex with me all the time.
Right? Yeah. Those movies are out there, though. There's some other ones. I just can't remember the names of them off the top of my head. So who knows? I mean, it is the New York red light district.
No, I 100% believe that this was going on.
Do you think they updated their signs? Like, surely those sex shows can't be 25 cents anymore.
I don't know if that shit still exists.
Well, I mean, you are a New York expert,
No, well,
having been.
once, yes, that's true.
That makes you
for
more
a
of an
day and a half.
Makes you more of an expert than anybody else on this podcast.
I highly doubt that this exists in like proper New York City. Like, I mean, the '80s were kind of known for that, and then Giuliani came, and I'm not praising fucking Giuliani by no means, but he kind of like took away a lot of that shit. I thought. Now in New Orleans, I can promise you, you could, see not live sex acts. I thought you only saw this in like Mexico. Like I didn't even know you could go and watch people fuck.
Which I feel like would be just like really awkward to be in a fucking theater with other people.
God, that would be a nightmare for me now. Like, no, get me out of here. This is gross. Like, no. Like, it smells bad in here.
It smells bad.
And then there's nothing but like hard dicks within a 50-yard radius of me. Like, no, thank you.
Well, it's possible. Like, you go into a show and, like, let's just say it sells out. That means you're talking about 50 yards. Now you're talking about like 5 inches away from you.
Oh, no. And then I can get hard. No, I could get hard then, yeah. No, it is so funny, though, because they cut back to the crowd. And these guys seem so goddamn bored.
Yeah.
I mean, they could not be less entertained by, like, 2 people making whoopee on stage, you know? Mm-hmm. It is funny.
Yep. So the only other thing of note during this sex act, like I said, we get introduced to the man missing 2 fingers, Mikus, who ends up becoming like the prime suspect, and we also meet like this.
She's half a character.
Yeah,
She's half a character.
I mean, like her sole purpose in this movie is to watch people fuck and to get her and to play with herself, and then have somebody else play with her. But we haven't got there yet. The show's, like I said, you see her playing with herself in the crowd. Then she disappears, and then Mikus disappears, and you're like, oh shit, Mikus is going to kill. Well, no, Mikus doesn't disappear yet. She disappears. Then when the show's over, with those 2 performers, the girl that was in the act gets stabbed in the vagina with a fucking broken bottle.
Yeah, she goes backstage, and this is where you see, like, really the Giallo stand out. Because she goes backstage, and I think, like, the hallway to the changing room is, like, red. It's completely red, like classic Giallo. She goes inside her dressing room, and it's completely green. Like these transition of colors that are just like this is red, this is green, and she tries to turn on the light, it won't turn on. But like the whole scene's bathed in green, which is, I mean, I love that shit. I love Giallo for the colors, you know.
She steps on the broken bulb though.
And that was pretty gross too.
Yeah,
Like the least grossest thing, it was kind of gross.
But you see like the glass stuck in her foot, and that's always one of those things that gets you. You're just like, oh man.
And yeah, she hears something rustling behind like a little curtain. It's a broken bottle to the JJ, man. And which is the least graphic thing in this movie.
She she pulled the curtain back and looked in there and didn't see nothing. And then the person came out of the area that she just checked and stabbed her.
Did she pull that back?
I'm pretty sure she did.
She might have. She might have.
Yeah, and like you said, still one of the lower on the pole for terms of, you know, gratuitous violence.
Oh,
Like she just got stabbed at one time, and that was pretty much it.
yeah. Thank God for that too. Thank God. They could have. That shit would have probably ended up being banned in the States if they would have fucking tried to go crazy on that.
Well, just considering how much gets cut from other movies, when I'm kind of like, how did these movies make it past without getting, you know, just cut to pieces?
Well,
I pause it. We can come back to that statement. I just had to get
Yeah.
to it. You did this while I was talking, so I wanted to get to it.
Yeah. I got you.
We'll be right back.
What were you saying?
Fuck. I don't know.
It was the bottle to the JJ. I mean, that's the scene we're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying. I got you.
What was I saying?
You were talking about how, like, certain movies get cut.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
certain movies get past the censors.
That's right. Yeah, so you were going to say something. All right. But basically, fuck me, I don't know the criteria on how these movies get, notes from the rating boards as to, like, this is too much, this is too far, you got to cut this or whatever. 'Cause some movies you watch and they're butchered.
Which, when we start covering, when we continue on with the project, because it gets worse in the 80s. As the 80s progress, that's when the MPAA starts cracking down. But, like, even in, like, the early 80s, it feels like the gloves are off.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, this still isn't even the video market, Like, in 1982, you had to be a millionaire to own a VCR, Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like, you're having to go see these movies in a grindhouse theater. It is interesting because now, you remember during DVD, the peak DVD.
Mm-hmm.
And, you fell victim to it. I mean, we all have,
I'm
but
never a
just
victim.
recently. No, not you. No. Not my baby.
Oh, my God.
No, it's because you just recently bought, again, this movie came out, peak DVD, the Friday 13th, 2008.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, like, you had the unrated
Yeah.
and you had the rated.
Yeah. I hated that shit because I ended up having to buy both copies. So I guess I can tell the story real quick since you brought it up. So I already own all the Friday the 13th movies on like Blu-ray. Get this straight. I'm not some bum who's never watched Friday the 13th, which I'll call me into question on this. But no, the Shout Factory collection had come out and I bought it. Josh bought it. We both bought it. And
What'd you say?
The Shout Factory collection, didn't you buy
Yes,
it?
I thought you said Criterion.
No.
I was,
Yes, we got the
I wish.
Criterion collection of Friday the 13th. But
Criterion.
we both got the Shout Factory box collection. But I also like to have movies digital. And, so I can, for ease of watch, just like everybody else in the world. And Friday the 13th remake from 2009 was on sale for $5. I'm like, oh, I'm going to buy that. I'll pay $5 for it. Now, and I thought I clicked on the unrated cut, but it turns out I bought the regular fucking R-rated cut, so I ended up having to buy it again so I could get the unrated cut. So now I've got both versions digitally.
And look, this was like 2009. So obviously when we do get to the movie, you're not going to watch the rated cut, but I do wonder what's the difference. And normally it was a ploy to sell more DVDs or to hype up DVD, because it would just be like 6 seconds cut, not much.
Well, here, since you're talking about like different versions of movies that we're going to be watching, we got to make sure that when we get to Halloween 6, that we're all watching the same version.
I know that there is only one version available on iTunes. I think.
Whatever.
And I think it's the one I have ends in the hospital. I think that's the producer's cut. I could be wrong. But yeah, I want to see both of them though. I wish you could buy both versions. But you have the Halloween collection, don't you?
Yeah, the 15 disc set. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which it was weird because they made two versions of that box set. They made a 15 disc version and a 10 disc version.
Same thing.
No, I think it's missing some because I think this one has multiple versions of some movies on it.
Probably Rob Zombie's.
So you get a multiple version of Halloween 2, if I'm not mistaken, because I think there's like the TV cut is on there.
There's a TV cut, yep.
And then with Halloween 6, you get the producers in the regular cut.
The director's cut. And then I know like the Halloween 2, the zombie one that everyone sees is different than the theatrical one. I think it's kind of hard to find the actual theatrical, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah. It is funny though, because in 1982, they were like, fuck it. You ever seen Psycho?
No. I've
Okay.
Not all of it.
I don't like how you said that so confidently, honestly. You need to put a little shame in your voice. But, you know, they had like, that was the first instance of a movie ever showing a toilet flush. That's how hardcore, I think it was the Hays Code back in the golden era of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you couldn't even, like, I watched North by Northwest maybe like a year and a half ago for the first time. And for them to insinuate sex in North by Northwest was like a train going into a tunnel, you know?
Yeah.
Because they were on a train and that's supposed to insinuate it. Psycho opens up with two people who obviously just had sex, but they can't show anything that resembles it. But Hitchcock was able to work around it. It is so funny to go from like 1960 Psycho, you know, 20-something years later, and a nipple can be cut off.
Oh, cut in half, man. Damn.
I don't know. I didn't watch it. I don't know. I didn't watch it.
Oh, don't worry. I'll describe it to you when we get there.
Oh, please, with detail.
This is where we find out that Williams is staying with prostitutes because the killer calls him
Yeah.
while he's with his prostitute.
I mean, calls him at the prostitute's house.
Yeah.
You know, so Williams isn't even like doing call girls. He's on a detective budget.
And he makes it sound like at first, like when he's there, you know, he sounds almost like he lives there. Because he's like, yeah, make me some coffee. And then she's like, I'm a prostitute. If you want some coffee, get it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, oh, shit, you're not at your house. You're at this fucking prostitute's house, and you're trying to get her to go get you some fucking coffee.
Well, when you first see it, you're like, hey, look at Williams getting this hot blonde who is obviously 30 years his junior. And then you realize that no. And then I start to question, does Williams just have one prostitute that he goes to? Or is there multiple? But if there's anything that people can learn from this scene is if you are a prostitute, don't have a rotary phone. And you might live.
Don't have a rotary phone, and you might live.
Yeah.
So the next person that's up is a woman named Faye.
Kind of our final girl. I say kind of. She is our final girl.
Yeah, she's attacked, and I like how this is how they describe it in Wikipedia in the plot or in the plot summary. A young woman, Faye, is attacked by a handsome razor blade wielding killer, but survives.
Yeah, they were just trying to speed run through this synopsis. But obviously, when you're watching this movie, you just see a beautiful blonde on the subway, and then you see our Mikus. I mean, look, they'll show it a couple of times throughout this movie. He is missing two fingers on his right hand, and it is the grossest missing of digit hand ever,
Oh, it looks like they sealed the wound with like a hot iron.
or with acid.
Yeah.
It looks like they were just like, I don't know, just throw acid on it. Like it'll. It's so goddamn gross. But props to the makeup department. But we'll later find out that our character Faye is not only a Mensa level genius, but she's also competing for the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics. It's kind of fucking staggering when you hear about like, oh, she's a genius and she's whatever sport. Did you catch that?
Yeah. No. I can't. I can't remember what sport, but I know I definitely.
No, they
caught
didn't say a sport. They didn't say a sport.
I definitely caught the IQ though, because it was like 184 or something like that.
Yeah, but her boyfriend tells her, he's like, you got to train for 1984, like Los Angeles, which is the Olympics.
Yeah. Faye tells Williams that she thinks the killer is the guy, Mikus, missing the two fingers. And we go to well, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna, you didn't think this would be a long podcast, and I'm up for the challenge.
You're up for the challenge.
Yeah, because this scene reminded me of a movie that came out last year, and it's on Shudder. I think it's a Shudder exclusive that I highly recommend people watching. Called The Watcher. It's I wish I knew her name. It's kind of a difficult name. It's the lead from It Follows. The blonde.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's really good. But there's a subway scene in that movie that it's so tense. But that's a great movie that people should check out called Yeah.
And she thinks it's Mikus because like they were on the subway together.
Oh, and he chases her.
Yeah.
I mean, she has valid reason to think.
Yeah, he kind of brought that attention on himself. So yeah, he chases her in the subway and she gets away, but then she fingers him as the killer. So now they're looking out for Mikus and his two missing fingers. And then we go back to I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say right before that, she gets off the subway. She obviously goes into like this deserted street in New York City, which I'm assuming there's plenty of deserted streets in Manhattan,
Yeah.
And she gets a cut on her leg, and he like attacks her using a Donald Duck voice. And she runs into a theater. Empty theater, obviously. And then like the killer comes up between her legs. And then she has what we later find out is hallucinations. Did I say that right? I felt like I had a fat tongue when I said that. Hallucination. Say it.
You were better off the first time.
Yeah.
You had it and then you tried to say it again.
Well, you're scared to say it.
No, I just don't have to.
Hallucinations.
You just hit it again. Hallucinations.
Hallucinations. I don't know. And should we say it now? Because I forgot about it till the second time I watched it. That this happened. Obviously, when you watch it the second time, you know who the killer is.
But she
but
has
she has.
a dream, essentially, or hallucinations, and it's actually you actually see the killer in the hallucinations, and it turns out to be the actual killer.
Yes, and because I made a note in my notes, my previous notes, I'm like, the movie tells you who the killer is, you know, but you don't assume it because you think it's just misdirection.
Yeah.
And that scene is pretty fucking graphic too.
Oh yeah.
I've it's one of those scenes where I totally forgot it happened, and I'm like, oh no, because he takes like a straight razor to her throat, and it, you know, this is giallo. They don't. It's not like giallo movies are gonna hold on a scene. You know,
Yeah.
they linger to where any other movie, an American movie, it'd be a quick cut, and then you see the blood. Like Friday the 13th, when the first hitchhiker dies.
Yeah.
It's quick, and then it comes. Giallo movies are going to show you them digging into the skin. I mean, it's in your face, very perverse, and I just wanted to give it a shout out to that because it was hardcore.
It was. Yeah. So Faye tells women, like I said, Faye tells Williams that she thinks it's the guy with the two missing fingers. She has dreams or hallucinations about the actual killer, and you actually see the actual killer in her dreams, but we're led to believe that it's because he was acting suspicious on the fucking subway. He was chasing her. So I mean, like, you have no reason to not think he's the killer, and she has no reason to not think he's the killer, like you said. But then we cut back to Jane, who was the lady who has the husband that, and we didn't even talk about that after her first foray, where she recorded.
Oh my God.
She recorded the tape inside the porno theater, and then her husband was listening to it, and then she catches him, and he kind of acts like, oh man, you caught me. But then she takes the fucking tape out and gives it to him for his collection, and he opens up his little drawer, and there's a bunch of them in there. So apparently, he's cool with his wife going out and recording these sex shows and then bringing them back to him. Like, I guess he gets off on it. And she is just out in New York, I guess, looking for sexual experiences. And she goes into a fucking bar, and, she's sitting there, and there's some shady looking dudes there. And then she looks over, and one dude's licking his fucking lips at her. She looks away, but then she kind of coyly looks back at him. And then we have the two guys come to her table for one of the most bizarre scenes in the fucking movie. And the dude, I think, don't the guys first make a bet on like whether she's wearing panties or not?
Yeah.
They bet a beer, and then the one guy's like, "Yeah, I owe you a beer," and then he tells her, and he's like, "No, I bought you a beer," and he starts to toe fuck her.
It is a scene like some of these other scenes that just. I like it when a movie takes its time, but not like this.
I would say it took its time here.
Yeah, and look, this woman's looking for, like, I don't know, like, she's a freak, she likes to get her rocks off, and her husband's cool with it. They have that kind of relationship. But like, she goes to like a fucking seedy bar too. Like, she's not even going to where, like, she's not looking for white collar folk.
Yeah.
And one of the guys there, did you notice he kind of looked like, I don't know if you watch Key and Peele, or he looked like Keegan Michael Kay a little bit. It's the guy who's not putting his toe in her pussy.
Man, now I feel like I have to go back and watch, because I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he looks like Keegan Michael Kay. And it's just this, To me, this is the weirdest scene in the movie. Like, just it sticks out so bad.
Well, it doesn't lead to anything.
No,
It's
and it's
just
not.
there.
No, we could have spent more time with Detective Williams or the psychologist just to get more info on them.
Mm-hmm.
But we go here, and it's I don't want to use the word unsettling because it's not unsettling. It's just uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's the word I was thinking was uncomfortable. And it is. And and they're talking and like them talking the whole time while they're doing it doesn't help the scene. Like, oh yeah, she likes it. You like it, don't you, baby? Tell me you like it. No, she likes it. Look at her. She likes it. Tell me you like it, baby. And then finally she's like, I like it, I like it.
And then they're like, get the fuck out of here, basically.
Yeah, they just fucking pull the table back
Yeah.
and embarrass her, and it's like, what was the point of that scene? Because she goes from there, and she hooks up with Mikus, and they go to a singles hotel or whatever the fuck they're called, and apparently they're into some BDSM because she's getting tied up, and they got the radio on, and you hear the radio announcer talking about the New York. They've dubbed him the New York Ripper at this point, but they're talking about the fact he's missing like 2 fingers and everything. And this is after they had sex. Like he tied her up and they had sex.
You could see the marks on her body to where it was like,
Yeah, she got whipped and stuff. But he leaves her tied up after sex, and he takes a nap, which I thought was fucking hilarious. So
it is.
He's sleeping, and she's just still strapped to the fucking railing on the bed. And then she hears on the radio that the New York Ripper is a man missing 2 fingers. And she's kind of like, oh, fuck. And she has to untie herself by, like, pulling the rope with her teeth.
And this is the scene where, like, the music is very era specific, and it's very, like, I guess, cheap with the rights because it's this music you do not hear ever. And this is what reminded me of the Warriors, because the DJ comes on and says, hey, all you beautiful ladies, watch out for, 8-fingered men. Just like the Warriors, where that DJ sort of almost progressed the plot.
Yeah.
In a way, And but before that, the dude takes a phone call. He turns up the music and takes a phone call. And that's where you find out that he's, even at this point, you still think he's the killer, but he's telling the Ripper, I procured you another victim, and they get done doing what they do. Like you said, he falls asleep, and at one point he's kind of sleeping with his eyes open, which is even creepier.
Yeah.
But she gets away, and she runs out. And typical horror movie, all of a sudden she's in the Overlook Hotel, and she doesn't know left from right. She runs into like this hallway that ends in a mirror. Then she runs into the Ripper. And yeah, this kill was a little restrained.
This is the one where she just got stabbed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does go up. You do see him go up, but you don't see it because she's wearing her coat.
Yeah. So, another one down. She's dead. Williams identifies the 8-fingered man as being Mikus, who, it says in here, is a Greek immigrant with a history of sexual assault and drug abuse. I guess I missed that part.
Oh, but here's the thing, and the thing that I noted the first time I watched it, because this movie is trying, and I want to say kind of successfully, of having red herrings.
Yeah.
because when I'm watching this movie, I'm thinking it's a psychologist. Because anytime the psychologist is talking about who he thinks the killer is,
Yeah.
it's always like, listen, this guy's good looking, great at sports, great body, great family. Like he kind of overhyped him to where you'd think he'd be talking about himself.
Yeah.
Because he's like, this guy's highly intelligent, 6-pack abs. He can dunk a basketball. And this is one of those instances where, because the psychologist is telling him, he's telling Detective Sleepy, it's not Mickus. He's trying to tell him, like, he doesn't fit the profile, which I do love about this movie. There is a little, that's one thing this movie has on the second watch. I'll say that's what I picked up. There's a little bit more, and I use air quotes, police procedural.
Yeah. Yeah. Excuse me. I think it's paused.
Yeah, just hold that thought. Do you know what you're going to say?
Yeah. The misdirection works. I think it works to an extent with Mickus. Eventually, obviously, you find out it's not Mickus, but by having him be, a former or somebody with a history of sexual assault and what was the other one I said?
Drug
abuse.
abuser.
Yeah. So I mean, you kind of think it's him, and then the scene.
But that's a little too on the nose, though.
Yeah.
I mean, as a sophisticated movie watcher, you know that, okay, that's too obvious.
But while you're sitting there, while she's sitting there in the bed tied up, and it's like, oh shit, is he the killer? Isn't he the killer? That's a little bit of tension there, and like seeing her try to reach over and bite the rope so she could get away. But then she gets killed, and she's dead. And then we have the killer attempts to kill Faye in her home before being chased off by her boyfriend. I'm doing air quotes on that one. And that's when, is this when she had the hallucination that it was her boyfriend? Or
Well, she had the hallucination when you think, as an audience member, when she's getting off the subway and goes into the theater. That's
Okay.
hallucination. Hallucination. We don't find out about the hallucination until like the last 5 minutes. But this is when she gets home, she's injured. This is when we find out she's fucking Diana Prince, genius and an athlete. And then he leaves. But before that, the cops go to Mickus's apartment. And I just want to bring that up because it is such a choice for Fulci. Because they go into the apartment and it's all POV. And you see a hand. And it's not Sleepy Williams.
yeah.
And he's going through all these porn. And this woman's crying. She's like, I don't know where he's at. He owes me money. Maybe a part-time girlfriend or you know, what do you call that? When you take care of the building.
Oh, take care of the building?
Yeah. You know, like a
Custodian?
No, like a landlord. Landlord, sorry.
Okay.
She's like a landlord or she's like a part-time girlfriend. It's hard to tell. But Fulci decides to shoot this in a POV shot. And then you see, I don't know if you saw this, but they go to the wall, and Mikas has a lot of pictures of himself,
Yeah.
kind of naked. And he has a photo of himself naked in front of a Marilyn Monroe poster. And it's just so weird to have. Like,
Yeah, no, I noticed like the half naked pictures of him.
yeah.
And I'm like, what? Because I was kind of like, wait a minute, this can't be his apartment. But then you're like, oh yeah, it is. But you just have fucking naked pictures of yourself all over the place. Fucking weirdo.
Yeah, and porn, so much porn. But yeah, so Mikas comes to attack Faye, and she gets away, and her boyfriend shows up, and yeah, right after that. That's when they trace the phone calls, right?
Well, they chase him off, and then the Ripper calls, and he's talking to Williams, and he's telling him he's going to dedicate a murder to him.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they're tracing the call, and they go to a fucking phone booth. They get it. They go to a phone booth, and he's like, "Oh, you think I'd be dumb enough to do that?" And it turns out that he had like a walkie-talkie talking into the phone, and he's at a different location, and the kill that he's going to dedicate to Williams is the prostitute he'd been sleeping with. And we come into what's got to be the most unsettling scene in the movie as far as like gore.
Yeah, let me ask you this, because I watched it behind covers.
Yeah.
Can you name some scenes off the top of your head in any movie that are a little bit more unsettling than this?
I think the Kill and Terrifier 2 with the one girl where he just never kills her. Like he slices her eye too in that movie, but then he also pours the bleaching salt on her. Like I felt like that was over the top. I don't know. It may not be as unsettling as this, because this is him taking a razor blade and just slowly cutting her. Like he cuts her abdomen, and then he cuts her breast, and he cuts straight through her fucking nipple and cuts it in half. And I'm just like, ugh, how'd you get this fucking special effect of two nipples?
And then what else he do?
Oh yeah, then he takes the fucking razor, starts like on her forehead and comes down, and then he cuts her eye in half. And it's a pretty graphic scene. If you ever seen Zombie, there's a scene in that movie where a woman gets pulled towards a broken door, and there's a piece of wood poking straight out that's pointed, and he pulls her into it eye first. And it's another Fulci movie, so he's got this thing about eye trauma.
Yeah, he does.
And yeah, this is the last person to be killed, and it's the most graphic person to be killed.
Yeah, it's like going to see your favorite band and they wait almost until the encore to play Born in the USA or something. I mean, they waited this long, and I, to me, the difference between this and Terrifier 2, well, the big difference is I watched the death scene in Terrifier 2, and this one I hid behind covers, is that Terrifier 2, there's a little bit of whimsy to it.
Yeah.
Like it's like in their weird way, they're trying to make it gross with comedy.
Yeah.
Fulci is wanting you to watch it and wanting you to hate what you're watching. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
And yeah, Sleepy gets there and he sees her body. And I guess that sort of puts us on the fast track to the end of the movie.
Well, they find
They find
Mickus' body,
Mickus.
and they
Yeah.
'cause this is the scene with the coroner or whatever he's called, and he's like, "Well, when was the time of death?" And he's like, "Well, the time of death was, this day at this time." And he's like, "Well, that can't be it because this person died this time or on this day." And he's like, "Look, I may be off like an hour or two when it comes to determining time of death, but I'm not off by days. That's the day it happened."
Yeah.
And so now we're like, well, shit, it can't be Mickus. And then you got the psychologist or psychiatrist, whatever it was. He says that Davis completes his profile on the killer, and he's like, it couldn't be Mickus. It's an intelligent young man who hates young, sexually active women and you find that the killer would follow Scalinda to get his victims. And then finally it dawns on Detective Williams that this describes the boyfriend, Peter.
Before that happens, we see Faye. She goes into a room upstairs where she shares with her boyfriend, Topher Grace. Peter. God, you're such a fan of this. Nerd.
No, I just got to pull
Well, you got the Wikipedia.
Yeah.
And they have a throwaway line when she's in the hospital. I'm sorry for saying something about Rachel or whatever.
Yeah.
And you don't know what she's talking about. And he's like, don't worry about it. She goes upstairs and she sees like a bill. Like, I don't know why the fuck Peter would put a bill from Memorial Hospital up in his, what we come to find out is his daughter's room.
Yeah.
So Faye goes to the Memorial Hospital and they show her that this little girl is almost like in a plastic bubble. Mm-hmm. And this nurse is reading to her. And this girl, you can tell, is fucking sick. The nurse is reading a duck children's story with a mama duck. And then because this movie, I don't know if to give it credit or if it's just bad editing or bad plot points, but she goes back. And this is and then we see the psychologist report. So we're at the finish line, and she comes home, and Peter's there, and he's like, "Oh, where have you been?" She's like, "I've been out." She's like, "What do you want for dinner?" He's like, "Whatever." So she goes downstairs, and she's preparing dinner, and then Peter gets a phone call. And this is where it kind of, for me, well, in all fairness, I'm kind of dumb, so I wouldn't really follow it anyway. He hears the duck voice. She picks up another line, and she hears it. Right before that, she sees the chipped knife.
Yeah.
And then, she puts two and two together. But at the same time, the movie's showing you Peter, and he's not doing the duck voice. And then when they both hang up, you're kind of like, well, where the fuck did that come from? Who the fuck is doing the duck voice?
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess Peter comes down and he sees the knife missing. So then Faye stabs him a couple of times. And in my primitive brain, I'm like, oh, is Faye the killer?
You know what? It's funny you say that because I guess my primitive brain also, there was a point where I was like, oh, she's just having fucking hallucinations and she's the killer.
Yes. Yeah. Like she's crazy, like mentally
Yeah.
insane. But no, he uses the duck voice.
Yeah, it turns out it's fucking Peter.
Yeah.
And Williams shows up just in time. He goes to the house. Well, he's going to arrest both of them, though, right?
No, they know it's Peter at this point. They know it's Peter, yeah. Because they visit the hospital too.
Yeah. So, yeah, he finally shows up, though, to save the day and shoots Peter right in the side of the fucking face, man.
Yes, it
Oh.
is. It is glorious.
Yeah.
It is fucking radical.
And then we get the explanation as to why Peter was killing people, and it's because he had a terminally ill daughter who's already lost a leg and an arm, and he resented other women for enjoying a life that his daughter was never going to get to have because she was on the verge of dying. And yeah, so he's in his own sick, twisted way or whatever. He's just going out here and he's like, if my daughter can't have a happy life, these beautiful women aren't going to have a happy life.
I've read somewhere, I don't know where I read this at, when I was doing the initial very minimal prep work for this movie. I read there is a theory going around that she was telepathically making him do this. And I'm like, I like that theory more than what the movie told us, because the movie also told us that once she had her arm amputated, the mother's in Greece or France. She's out of the country. That the father stopped showing up. To where, and that led me to believe he just didn't want to be around for whatever she was about to go through. He didn't want to be emotionally connected to it. So it made sense for her to telepathically connect with him and to get angry at the life that she won't be able to lead.
Yeah.
To me, that plays better, especially after the phone call with the duck, that Faye overhears.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they wrap it up with Sleepy Williams, Fassbender, and Faye in the back of the cop car. And Fassbender sort of tells the audience, sort of wraps it up with a nice bow of why he did the things he did and all that. And again, I have to say it, the music throughout this movie it's money, because then we get the more 70s soundtrack. I mean, it's 1982. I mean, it's not Journey,
Thank God.
That'd be weird. Wheel in the Sky, if it ended on Wheel in the Sky.
I'm not a Journey fan.
No, I'm not either.
I know a lot
But
of
I'm just
people
saying.
are, and I'm just I don't know, man. Journey always seemed to me like an elementary school rock band.
No, my dad always sort of poked fun at Journey growing up because my mom liked them.
Yeah.
And Dad was like, no, I didn't listen to Journey. Like how I would be with Isla about certain bands or.
Yeah.
So I've always had that in my head. My my dad hates Journey because they were kind of soft for their time, you know? And you get it. You get it. I do think Will in the Sky is kind of a banger, if I'm being honest. You know? I prefer More Than a Feeling by Boston. That's me. But hey, I'm always thinking of Boston.
Right.
I'm always thinking of Boston.
What did you end up giving this movie?
It's funny. It's funny because the first time I watched it, I gave it, and I was teetering, and when we were going to record, I was going to decide. I was going 2.5 or 2. I watched this time. I'm like, no, it's a 3. It's 3 stars for me. It is, and I wrote down like this whole little, my whole review. But honestly, then I finally wrote down like 3 lines for it. And this movie isn't for everyone. And at times, I don't enjoy the ride, but I'm glad I bought a ticket. You know? It's weird in places that I don't want it to be weird in, that make me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But thank God movies like this exist, though, because they do push buttons. And this movie is at times unnecessarily mean. And Fulci has been sort of accused of hating women, just
Yeah.
based on his movies. And I can't say that. I've only seen 2 Fulci movies. But I'll never judge a movie for pushing those buttons. That's, I've always said you judge a movie by what it is. And it's intentionally trying to push buttons, not like a Serbian film, that's...
Have you ever
Oh, no.
watched that?
Oh, I will not watch that movie.
I was
will
wondering
not.
because somebody. It's funny you bring that movie up because I was talking to somebody else and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but a couple days ago, whatever, and somebody brought up a Serbian film, and I'm like, that's a movie I have no desire to see. Like, I've heard about it, I know it happens, and I'm out.
No. Yeah, that's... You exist, that's cool. Not for me.
Yeah.
Not for me. That's... But, yeah, and again, it's the second watch for me that I enjoyed the misdirection. I enjoyed a little bit of the dialogue more. Again, with these Giallo movies, it is the dubbing that can take you out. But no, it's 3 stars. Like, I don't know if I'm going to watch this movie again, but it's good. I'm glad it exists.
I flip-flopped on my ratings like you did too. Mine was between 3 and 2.5, and ultimately I settled on 2.5 because that's middle of the road, right? There's things in the movie I like. There's things in the movie that I'm just like, this is gratuitous. This pointless. Like the sex act in the theater didn't have to be as long as it was. The fucking toe scene could have just not been in the movie at all.
No,
Like,
cut that.
It was out of place. At least with the adult theater, you're setting up Mikus and I can't remember what the lady's name is, but you're setting those 2 characters up. Like you see that they've had some interaction, maybe not interaction, but they've been in proximity of each other before.
But you also get a death scene.
Yeah.
So
The toe scene though is just her in a random fucking bar with random people getting fingered by a toe.
no, and honestly, like, and it's a scene that can only exist in this era.
Yeah.
You could not do that now.
Yeah.
You couldn't.
I think the movie had like good special effects though. Like I didn't watch From Behind the Curtain. There's certain things I can't watch, but that wasn't for me. That wasn't one of them. Now, if it had been like some kind of like, if he had spit on her or something, then I'd have had a gag reflex and I'd have been like, nah, I can't watch this because I just can't do stuff like that. Like that just, ugh. But yeah, but for this movie, like I said, 2.5 stars. It had some good kills. I like the colors. I mean, that's why we watch Jalo, right? It's for the colors. They're pretty.
You get those in spades in Suspiria.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad I watched the movie too. I would recommend if you haven't watched it, watch it. Just be prepared for some things to kind of drag out.
No, and this movie's brutal, and it's unforgiving in a way that you don't see in a movie with a through line of a police procedural. You know, and I'm not comparing this movie to Seven, but you
Yeah.
do see you see brutality in Seven, and there's a police procedural.
Yeah.
This movie's a little bit lighter on the police procedural, a lot lighter, but I liked any time the psychologist and the detective were in a scene together. You know, like I would have seen a sequel to this movie, and it's them two doing another case. I
Yeah.
really would have.
The
But it
Boston
is
River.
I mean, we could have just kept going with that, you know. The Meadowlands monster.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. And look, I'm not even a Giallo guy. Like I'm not gonna like wave that flag because that would be disingenuous. But thank God for Giallo though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Well, I think we use the podcast to talk about movies we want to talk about, but we also use the podcast to see movies that maybe we haven't seen and we wanted to see. It gives us a reason to watch things that we're not experts on, and neither of us are experts on Giallo, but we're doing this block, and now we'll get to introduce ourselves to it. And get a
yeah,
little more acclimated, and it's fun. That's why I like doing it. That's why I like doing movies outside of like the big movies, because we've seen those and everybody's seen those. Like everybody's seen Friday the 13th, right? But have you seen New York Ripper? Have you seen
Frankenstein.
or even like a movie, because I'm rewatching the series now because I haven't seen some of the other ones, but like Hatchet, right?
Oh yeah.
There's a group of people that love Hatchet, and rightfully so, but there's a lot of people that haven't seen it, and it's fun to talk about movies like that. Like, have you ever watched Life Force
That's Toby Hooper, right?
with the space
I
raiders?
haven't.
Exactly, and there's a lot of people that haven't, and so it's just like I said. That's one of the things I like about doing a podcast is it gives us a reason to be like. You could be like, hey, I think we should watch this movie and make a suggestion. And I can do the same thing, and Daniel can do the same thing, and we just get to kind of broaden our scope and talk
Yeah,
about it, which is fun.
Yeah. Now, Life Force would be one that would be interesting to talk about. I will always have a soft spot for Hatchet.
Yep.
I think if Adam Green would have done that 10 years earlier or 10 years later, these movies would be more beloved. For some reason, those movies aren't. And I think it's because it was right at that fucking dead point, like, of horror. Like, fucking dead as a doornail.
Yeah.
Hatchet was a proto Terrifier, honestly. Don't stay silent, you motherfucker. God damn it. You know I'm right.
The gore in Hatchet's good. Like, oh man, we were watching Hatchet 2 last night. But I had some technical issues, so we didn't get to finish. And when he ripped that dude's jaw off, Man,
I only own the first Hatchet. Do you own them? You don't own them.
I had Hatchet 1.
But you don't own them digitally. I know that.
No, I don't.
Cheapskate motherfucker.
I keep waiting for him to hit a deal. You know, like all 4 movies, $13.
I know.
Like,
$20.
yeah, I mean, even at $20, you can get all 4 of them for 20.
Yeah.
Give me the Leprechaun experience again. 8 Leprechaun movies, $12.
Ooh, love it. Hell, and look, you bought the Saw movies. I've heard really good things about Saw 10.
I'm not a Saw guy. I bought them because the price was right.
I know, and
I felt like I was losing money if I didn't buy them.
I know, I get it, and I talk shit about that on a prior episode. But what was I gonna say? Like Children of the Corn. There's 30 of them. You come out with like $20. Yeah, let's fucking do it. You know.
Yeah, and that's what I did with like Mission Impossible. Because the first time you told me about it, I was like, I'm not just like huge into Mission Impossible movies. But then I was like, wait a minute, that's 6 movies for like $25. Like, I gotta buy that.
Have you watched them?
Not yet. I'm going to.
They're good. That first one, man. I just rewatched that one. It's a killer. And I'm gonna talk about a movie right now while you're indisposed. I just finally watched Chinatown, and I know you own Chinatown, and it was the first time I watched that movie. And I gotta say, it might be, and I'm not trying to be hyperbole with this, but it might be like the greatest script ever written. It's like Robert Towne, the guy who wrote Mission Impossible, wrote Chinatown. And you watch that movie, and obviously, like, I think most of us, especially if you're listening to this podcast, me and you can be a sucker for film noir movies.
Yeah.
And this movie it's not like film noir, like what you think about film noir, because Jack Nicholson's character isn't a private, he's a private investigator, but he's not a slimy private investigator,
Yeah.
And I watched that movie, and every little thing just fits into this puzzle. And it fits perfectly. It is just, and I hate to say it. Fuck Roman Polanski, but god damn, everything just, you have Chinatown. Watch it.
I have watched it.
Watch it. You have?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it was a blind spot. There's
Forget about it, Jake. It's Chinatown.
And that I don't know why that's so. I get why it's iconic, but you watch the movie and you're thinking it's going to be like this big thing, and it's not. It's like the last line in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It is literally, I think, the last line in the movie, and that line has so many different meanings. I don't know. Just
I also have 3 Days of the Condor.
I know, and I watched All the President's Men maybe a couple of months ago. So like, you're talking Robert Redford political thriller, 70s, fucking sign me up. I need to watch it. Yeah. You should watch All the President's Men. That's another fucking classic that stands the test of time, especially now. Again, we're not a political podcast, but especially now, it rings more true
What are you
than
drinking?
ever. Carlsberg,
Is that a beer?
yeah, it's like a Danish beer.
Oh,
They have a pretty good slogan, and Mads Mikkelsen is like he's done some commercials for him.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's Danish, and their slogan is like possibly the best beer in the world. I mean, it's not obviously not by a fucking long shot, but I like how they're like possibly, like put your shoulders up, possibly the best beer in the world. It's mid.
mid. There
I'm
you go.
41 years old.
Use the lingo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I was talking to Daniel the other day when we were doing. Well, hold on.
Frank and Weenie.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can tell the story on the podcast. I mean, you're going to hear it anyways on the other episode. But I thought Daniel was older. Fucking Daniel's only 38.
Really?
Yeah, man. I just thought he was in his 40s with me and you.
I mean, I don't know what to say to that. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. For
38.
reason, I thought y'all were the same age.
no, he's. I thought he was only 2 years younger than me.
Maybe he said 39, but I thought he said 38.
No, it's probably 38.
Yeah. Fucking Daniel.
He's a baby.
I know.
He's a fucking baby.
Yep. All right. You got anything else on the New York Ripper?
No, it would be funny to go back and like, oh no, let's talk 10 more minutes of fucking vaginas with bottles, broken bottles in them.
Oh, man. What a horrible way to go out. Well,
Yeah, and she just died. Like, it would take a while to, I guess. I don't know.
you think it'd take out more than like 5 seconds to bleed out, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, everyone, that's the New York Ripper. We appreciate you listening to the podcast. Check out the movie. Let us know what you think. Hit us up on the socials, the Facebook, the Instagrams, the Twitters. Josh is shaking his head, but
nobody's going to hit us up, though.
They might. He even said we need to do a better job of promoting ourselves.
I mean, we do. It is the hardest fucking thing in the world to like.
Well, I'm waiting for Daniel to send me a fucking shirt so I can start wearing it.
Is he gonna?
He said he was. He said when he gets off his lazy ass and mails it to me.
Yeah. You should hit up Courtney. Courtney's a sweetheart. She'll do it. She'll mail it to you. She's an angel.
Yeah, I might. Or I might just wait for Daniel to, fucking do it just out of principle.
No. Well, you might be waiting a while, big.
Right. All right, everybody. Well, once again, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. I love you.
All right. So that's all. We're still on Twitch, but that's all the podcast. So we went for 105 minutes.
Hang on. How long is that? Hang on. 60. Like an hour and 40?
Yeah, hour and 45.
That's for New York Ripper.
Whew. And you said you were picking Tenebrae?
Yeah.
Okay.
We should have told people that. No. We should do a better job, though, of that. Just in case if anybody wants to watch it before we talk about it. Man, you are tatted up.
Yep.
You are so tatted up now. You look like you belong to a biker gang.
No bike. I have to ride bitch.
Is that the look you're going for?
I'm not going for a look.
It's crazy. I haven't seen you in a few years. But it's crazy now. You so many tats.
Yep.
I'm gonna show off my arms, guys.
I was just finally,
Like you.
it was just like, I want some. Let me get some, because I'd always make up reasons before not to. It's like, what would Josh think? For me,
No.
WWJD isn't what would Jesus do. It's what would Josh do.
No, or WWJT. I still stand by you should do something with that shit on your leg and sort of make it funny. I know we've talked about it,
Yeah.
but I know you're concentrating on like the coloring on your sleeves and I get that. But your next thing after you get that sleeve done is like, let me just make this even more funny because it's there.
Yeah. Well, I said Trogdor.
Yes.
Put some muscle arms on him, some wings, have him breathing fire.
Yes.
Trogdor.
I forget. Where did you get that at?
What, the Trogdor?
Yeah.
Oh, from a guy I was in training with when I worked for Walmart. We were at management training, and he showed me the video on YouTube. And it's from Strong Bad.
No, the original tattoo.
Oh, I did that myself when I was 18.
Okay. Drinking.
Watching wrestling.
What year was that? How good was wrestling?
It had been 1998.
Yeah, wrestling was pretty hot. Yeah, wrestling was pretty fucking hot.
Do you want to try to record tomorrow?
Are you off tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
How?
Swap days.
To where you have back-to-back days. Yeah. Okay. I mean, look, we could go live on Twitch and just shoot the shit. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to watch.
Well, if we did that, we gotta have some topics at least, kind of.
Yeah, a broad spectrum, and I'm not opposed to that. And I do want to start trying to get like plot synopsis, even if they're not good. Just why not? So I don't know if I'm, Tenebrae cutting it pretty close.
That's fine. We can just chat tomorrow. Just think of some things that we can talk about. And just message. I'll think of some things, and then I'll shoot you a message.
Yeah, and it could be anything: music, movies, wrestling, books. Yeah, whatever.
Yep. All right.
All right.
I'm gonna go buy some groceries. I think.
It's smart.
Yeah. Well, you kind of need it in order. Oh, did I show you what my brother got me at a yard sale?
I see it's Friday 13th.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's just a puzzle, but it's in like a VHS, like looking.
At a yard sale? Mm-hmm. Oh, and it's 500 pieces. That's not for babies.
It's 500 pieces. It's not for babies.
That's pretty cool, man. It's pretty fucking cool. And it's all sealed up. Mm-hmm. At a yard sale.
Yep. There was 3 of them. There was that one. There was Alien, and there was Ghostbusters.
Wait, he just got you one?
Yeah.
And he got you the worst one?
Gift is a gift.
He left Alien and Ghostbuster
No,
on the table.
He bought them. Those are his.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah,
Okay.
He picked
Yeah.
about 3 of them. He gave me the Friday 13th.
okay. I thought he just was like, I don't need these Stone Cold classics. Like, nah, it's cool as shit, man.